Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation here in Spain. Day 94 of the current situation, and today it's all about those borders opening up again. The 21st of this month is the date when those borders will open up again, except for Portugal, and I'll give some more information on that in a minute. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that supported the channel through a small donation. You can see your name here. Big thanks to the people again who bought merchandise, and again a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your support. Links in the section below on how you can support the channel. Now, it's all about those borders opening up again, and Spain yesterday gave a date as to when British people will be allowed to come back into the country on holiday. And as we can see here, Spain revealed when Brits will finally be able to visit on holiday. The Spanish government has announced plans to ease its travel borders this weekend in a bid to encourage tourism to the country. British tourists will be able to enter Spain from next week, it has been revealed. The welcome news for holidaymakers comes after 24 hours of confusion generated by the country's decision to reopen to international tourism a week earlier than expected. On Monday, the Spanish Foreign Minister confirmed British tourists would be allowed into Spain from the start of next week too, following the coronavirus lockdown. The Spanish government sources confirmed on Sunday evening that despite having left the bloc earlier this year, the UK is still considered an EU member state given that it is in a transition period and enjoys full membership rights. This means that UK travellers will also be allowed to enter Spain from June 21. So there you have it. All of those people that have been leaving comments on the videos over the last few months asking when they would be allowed to come back to Spain, the date has been set, the 21st of June. Now the big question a lot of people are obviously asking themselves is, will you be subjected to a 14-day quarantine when you come here? And the answer to that is no. We can see here that Spain is to scrap the quarantine rule for UK travellers. Travellers from the UK will not have to quarantine on arrival in Spain from Sunday, Spanish officials have said. Britain is to be included in a list of nations from which people can enter the country freely. However, current rules state that anyone returning to or entering the UK must self-isolate for 2 weeks. So you can come here with no quarantine, but when you go back, you'll have to go into self-isolation. Now the news about Brits being allowed back into Spain was also tweeted yesterday by the UK Embassy here. And you can see that tweet here in which it says that Spain has included the UK in the group of countries. However, they also put out a tweet saying that the British government continues to advise British nationals against all but essential international travel. This advice is kept under constant review, and they give another link here where you can check out the current travel advice. So for me, it's still a little bit confusing. Spain allowing Britons to come into the country, but the British government still advising against international travel unless it is essential. So it's going to be up to the individual whether they travel to Spain this summer or not. So let us know what your plans are, and if you are planning to travel to this country after the 21st of this month, the 21st of June. Now some news related to the current state of affairs here in Spain regarding the virus at the moment, and it is that 6 out of 10 Spaniards believe that the worst of the pandemic has passed, even if there are outbreaks. The final stretch of the state of alarm coincides with a fall in interest in the health crisis and greater optimism. So as we can see here, the general Spanish population more optimistic about the current health situation here in Spain. So that could also be a factor that encourages people to come here. If the Spanish are optimistic, then other people could be as well. And it is true that the general health situation has moved off the front pages in a lot of newspapers and press here in Spain at the moment as people start to move on. And except for a few outbreaks that have happened in some regions in Spain, most notably the Basque Country, it isn't really front page news anymore. Another headline that caught my attention is, how will this crisis affect our pension system? And it is a question that I particularly am worried about as I creep towards that pension age. And considering that the pension system here in Spain is one that you pay into your whole life, it will be interesting to see what the pension system is going to look like in a couple of decades' time. But I, for one, think that I'm going to have a plan B and not rely on the state pension. Now, some more news related to how Spain is going to pull itself out of the current crisis. And we can see here that they are anticipating a 150 billion euro public investment in the face of the crisis. The draft of the investment and the reform plan opens an internal discussion in the government. Spain intends to emerge from the crisis in a way radically opposed to that of 2008. The draft of the investment and reform plan, the document that will be sent to Brussels to mark future projects to which El País has had access, marks the colossal figure of 150 billion euros in public investments in the period 2021 to 2022. According to government calculations, that should drag another 500 billion in private investment, and the idea is to modernize the economy. So there we go. The plan of the Spanish government is to spend, which was the opposite in 2008, 2009, where cutbacks were the order of the day. So I, for one, am looking forward to see how long it takes us here in Spain to get out of this crisis, because the last one lasted a long time compared to the rest of the world. So hopefully this one is not going to last as long as the one in 2008, which was a terrible experience for people that had to live through it, myself included. Now, the government also announced yesterday that it has come up with a plan to reinvigorate the car industry here in Spain, and it's going to give subsidies between 400 and 4,000 euros for people to buy a new car. Government is going to allocate 350 million euros in subsidies, which it will adapt depending on the emissions of the purchased vehicle. The new Renove plan, effective from Tuesday, will subsidise the acquisition of electric and hybrid vehicles and also diesel and gasoline vehicles. In return, it will force owners to scrap their car if it is over 10 years old. This was announced yesterday by Pedro Sánchez, together with the automobile sector associations and unions. So some good news there for people that are looking to buy a new car here in Spain, especially if it's one of these electric or hybrid models. But the bad news is that if you take the government up on this plan and your car is over 10 years old, you're going to have to take it directly to the scrap heap and not be able to sell it. So obviously the government trying to push people towards electric and hybrid cars here in Spain. What's your opinion on that? Would you be willing to scrap your old car in order to get an electric or hybrid? Let us know. Now, yesterday, those 11,000 German tourists arrived in Mallorca, and we can see here that 3 months later, there are finally German tourists again on the island. Travellers fearlessly opened the corridor that will test the security protocols of Spanish destinations. And of course, yesterday in the newspapers and on the TV, there were endless pictures of Germans sunning themselves in Mallorca and telling everybody how safe the island is. So hopefully this will lead to more people coming down here this summer. Now, in the last video, I mentioned that there is a plan by the government to scrap cash. However, the European Union has stopped Spain in its tracks when it came out yesterday warning that the elimination of cash in the Eurozone is not allowed. The European Central Bank opposes the proposal of the Socialist Party in Spain because it believes that it hurts the most disadvantaged. So there we go. A lot of people got worked up over the fact that cash may disappear, but the European Union says that it's not going to happen as it will hurt the most disadvantaged. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from the last video. First one here from Angel. Thank you for this important information. Most people don't know what's going on and are confused. Won't hurt to wear a mask. Benefits for all. Yeah, Angel, thanks for the comment. I am getting used to wearing a mask. I know there has been a lot of debate in the comment section in recent weeks about wearing masks here in Spain, and it's something that we have to get used to. Unfortunately, we have no choice. If we don't wear a mask here in Spain in certain circumstances, we can get fined. And I, for one, don't have enough money in my pocket at the moment to be paying fines. And for everybody who's planning on coming to Spain this summer on holiday, you're going to have to pack a packet of masks in your suitcase with you. One here from Broken Pop. All in for cashless, tired of overpaying taxes to compensate for our massive black economy. Yeah, thanks for the comment. As we saw, it's not going to happen. The European Union will not allow Spain to move towards a cashless society because, as we saw, there would be some people disadvantaged by cash disappearing, and these are people that work in the black economy. And to be honest, there are some places in Spain where the black economy is part of the day-to-day, and if you get rid of cash, how are those people going to survive? That's the question, and that's what the European Union is obviously thinking when they came out with that statement yesterday. One here from David. Thanks for all your reports, Stuart. I don't even live in Spain, still in the UK, but I'm addicted to your reports. Maybe it's the idea of living in a warmer climate. Maybe it's because my dad lived in Murcia for several years. But your reports keep me up to date on what's happening over there. I too am waiting for the borders to open up and, of course, the UK to drop its ridiculous 2-week quarantine. Keep up the good work. Yeah, thanks for the comment, David. As we saw before, the borders are opening up for people like yourself as of the 21st, but that quarantine aspect in the UK when you return is going to be the sticking point here for a lot of people coming here on holidays and then having to go back and going into isolation. Going to be tough. And I don't really know how long the UK is planning to have that quarantine in place, but as we saw, Spain is scrapping theirs, so I'm sure that they could do the same in the UK in the near future. One here from Carlos, great videos and content, Stuart, keep them coming. I've been looking at your videos since the start of the COVID. Love how you summarize and make the abstract of all the confusing information basically in Spain and the whole world. Love Madrid. I try to go at least 2 times a year. Saludos from Puerto Rico. Excelente. Yeah, Carlos, thanks for the comment and glad to see that you are tuning in from Puerto Rico. I imagine that you have had a difficult situation there as well. The rules obviously confusing as they have been here in Spain. And you're right, my main objective has been to make the information as simple as possible. Sometimes it's been easy, sometimes it's been hard. Sometimes I've gone away from these videos with my head still spinning, trying to interpret all of the information that has been circulating, but it seems to be easier now, and hopefully it will be easier in coming months. One here from Oh Bro, thank you for the daily updates. You are providing a valuable service. Question about entry into Spain. When will non-EU citizens, especially from the USA, be allowed into Spain? Thank you. Yeah, hi, thanks for the comment and question. To be honest, I have no idea. I think it's going to depend on when your particular country opens the border. If you're coming from the USA, if you're coming from Canada, if you're coming from a country like Australia. I know that in Australia, for example, international travel is not allowed at the moment. People are not allowed to travel interstate in some cases, let alone leave the country. So again, I think it's going to depend on when your particular country opens the borders, because of course the EU is starting to open up for travel. So it should be sometime in the coming months, provided that the health situation is under control, which is the underlying fundamental for everything here at the moment. One here from Suze. I'm from Canada and live in Mexico. In Canada, cards are the way to go. Here in my beach town in Mexico, it's cash only. Mexicans where I live do not have cards, let alone bank accounts. This is going to be very interesting if countries do away with cash. Very sad to have missed my trip to Spain this year. Looking forward to returning once there are no more restrictions. Can't see it being a pleasure in the next little while. Thanks, Stu. Keep the videos coming. Yeah, hi, Suze. Thanks for the comments. Always good to remind ourselves that there are people in the world that don't have bank accounts. Obviously, when you live in countries like Australia and Spain, you think that it's normal, but around the world there are lots of people that don't have access to that type of system, and of course Mexico being one of those countries, as you said. And obviously cash still a very big part of their lives, but I have seen videos in recent times where they're trying to promote the use of cards in countries like Mexico, making it easier for people to go on public transport in cities like Mexico City, and trying to push people out of that black economy, but I don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. We'll have to wait and see on that. One here from Dicky. Ola Stewart from Portugal. I was in Estoril yesterday. There were folks at the beach, not too packed. Everyone was spaced apart as far as I could see. Had lunch in front of the beach. To enter a restaurant, there was a hand wash station and a mask was mandatory. The staff cleaned the table right in front of us. Very professional and great hygiene. Police were out, but allowing folks to go about their day as long as restrictions are followed. Portugal has done a good job as far as I'm concerned. Originally from the US, blessings and positive energy to all. Yeah, hi Dickie, thanks for your comment and good to see that you enjoyed a nice lunch yesterday. You're right, Portugal has done very, very well handling this health crisis. Better than Spain, of course, as they managed to shut the country down quicker and avoid high numbers, which is the opposite of what happened here. And regarding hygiene in restaurants, that's also happening here now. You go into a restaurant or a bar and they do have a hand gel station. They also encourage you to wear a mask when you go into the restaurant, and the staff are cleaning the tables and chairs at regular intervals, so a lot of hygiene standards being set in these countries at the moment. One here from Eliseu. The subject of politics is saturated here in Brazil too. Very annoying and tiresome. Yeah, thanks for the comment. I think it's a general problem in the world at the moment. I talk about politics here in Spain being saturated. You can see that in Brazil it's also saturated. The United States seems to have a political saturation problem at the moment. And as I said, it seems to be worldwide. I don't think there's a country in the world at the moment that has a perfect political system. And I agree with you that it is very annoying and very tiresome. But what can we do? One here from St. Pete, Dave. Hola amigo Stuart, thanks for your latest update and staying on the positive side of things. We who are looking at being in Spain from afar have really appreciated all your efforts to produce these informative videos over the past 3 months. Believe it or not, there are still many people who would still be interested in retiring and living in either Spain or Portugal. We are watching the situation there and trying to formulate our plan of action. We're in no hurry to make a move, maybe sometime next year. My wife has Spanish citizenship already, so we could choose either country that best suits our needs. You have been in Spain for 20 years now. What are your thoughts on the best overall quality of life between Spain or Portugal? We would have a monthly budget of around 2,500 euros. Thanks and keep up the good work. Yeah, thanks for the comment. I know that there are still a lot of people out there planning to come to retire in either Spain or Portugal, deciding which country would be better for them. Spain, Portugal. I'm not 100% sure. I live in Spain. I love Portugal. I would love to spend more time there in the future. Portugal's a country that really suits my style of life for various reasons, primarily because it's on that Atlantic coast. It's a very open coast, and that's something that I love about that country. The food culture is also very good. People are friendly. I only have positive things to say about Portugal, and in general I only have positive things to say about Spain, but sometimes I do get a little bit saturated living here in Spain, especially with the politics. But I'll open this question up to the community. What's your opinion? Spain, Portugal, the best place to come and live nowadays? Let us know so Pete can take the best decision. And finally, one here from Sandy. Hi Stuart, your information is amazing. I'm patiently waiting to travel to Spain from the UK. If you fancy a trip to the south coast when it's allowed, come see us in Malaga. Yes, Sandy, thanks for the comment. And as you probably saw at the beginning of the video, as of the 21st, you will be allowed back into Spain and you can travel to Malaga. And I'm definitely going to plan a trip to that part of the world in the near future, so we can catch up for a beer or a coffee sometime when I eventually do make it to Malaga. But I am looking forward, as I said, to traveling around Spain, and Malaga is definitely one of the places on my radar at this stage. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.